Why do we cook? We cook for food, for family, and for friends. We cook to bring people together.
Honey, that looks good. Pardon my fork.
And welcome to Pardon My Fork. This is Andy, and we've got a fun one for you today, guys. We're going back into the archives. I'm actually grabbing an episode from our previous show, Boost, Booze, and Barbecue. We were doing a Distillers series, and I'd like to slowly start to bring those in and integrate them so that you guys can hear them, because some of these interviews were really, really good, and I would be remiss if I didn't share them with our Pardon My Fork family. So today you're going to be hearing from Jason Greenwood from Divine Distillers. This was, of course, last year, and so he has got tons more flavors and tons more product, and they've even moved out of the space that they were in because it was just too small and they needed more space. So you're going to hear all about kind of his humble beginnings as someone that just wanted to start a distillery and had a vision and decided that he was just going to chase that down. So please tune in and please enjoy as we talk to Jason Greenwood from Divine Distillers. Jason, how are you, my friend?
Good, man. How about you?
Doing fantastic. I am so glad to be back here. I just love your stuff. And a very exciting time because your tasting room is coming open here pretty soon.
Yes, I'm hoping that it will be open right after 4th of July. We're aiming for before, but some construction issues and permits, so hopefully the weekend after July 4th.
Bureaucrats, man. Can't live with them, can't live without them.
Right?
Can't drink them either.
No.
That's right.
Man. But maybe you could get them drunk.
If you got them drunk, especially on the good stuff that you make here, it might change some minds.
It might.
That'd be nice if they got to work.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Maybe send some stuff over to the TTB and just say, hey, you guys, come on.
Yeah. Come on.
This label's fine. It doesn't
Don't worry
need any
about
changes.
There you go.
Inferno means a few different things, like it's okay,
Right.
that sort of thing.
Exactly.
Hey, you showed us the space that you're thinking you might be in, and
Yes.
you've got your palette of glass bottles.
I do.
That is super exciting.
It is very exciting. We have everything but the label.
Well, the label, it'll make it at some point.
I've got a Sharpie.
Yeah, now you're
I'm
talking.
just saying.
I have no artistic skill, but at the same time,
No.
I can hold it.
I know my letters.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
If you're into abstract art, I can put whatever you want on that ball.
That really scares me.
So, hey, how is everything going?
We're doing very well. We've grown into our space quite well, as you can see. I'm going up about 15 feet up into the air.
Yes, sir.
Of all my stuff. From the last time you came, this space has increased, and our rotovape has gone up, and the amount of distillate that we've got has increased, and the only thing that's not decreasing is the size, thankfully.
Yeah.
Man, I love the stuff coming out of your rotovape. Can you tell the listeners at home what's going on with the rotovape?
Sure. So one of the things that we pride ourselves in is having these incredible distillates that we then take and we add the essence of whatever that is, be it fruit or lavender or mint, and then we run it through the rotovape and extract those essences into a high alcohol content, high flavor content drink.
The flavor content. The flavor content is just unreal with this stuff. I didn't know that, boiling at a lower temperature would give you all the different chemical compounds. Although I guess it makes sense because you're not cooking the fruit in order to get the distillate out of it.
That's exactly true. So what a rotovape is a low pressure distiller. So it's just the same as your big still, but we're doing only 5 liters at a time, and we take out all the pressure, and then because if you remember your high school physics, it brings a water or liquid to a boil at a much lower temperature. So we don't cook the internals, and it brings out the essence of the flavor of whatever it is that you're rotovaping at a much lower temperature. And therefore, you can have mint at a perfectly good temperature, and you'll get the taste of the fresh apple or the fresh pear. And we can take that essence and add it to whatever brandy that we're making.
It's so incredible. It's just so incredible. Your mint knocked my socks off the last time I saw you, because it was just, there was almost a medicinal quality to it. I mean, it gave me this wash
In a
of
good way, I hope.
euphoria. And
Yes, in a good way.
yes, in a very good way. I felt fantastic after I tried it.
Yeah.
And I think my wife felt pretty fantastic after she tried the lavender distillate. That was unlike anything I'd ever had before. It really was. And it's not exactly, I mean, it's not an extract at all, right? It's
No, so what we do is we take the essence, and the reason why we started this was we have a apple brandy, for example, and we will go ahead and make the apple brandy, and then after we've made it, we've got a nice, beautiful cooked apple brandy taste, and we add fresh apples to it, and then we let it sit and steep in the apple brandy for 24 to 48 hours. And then we rotovape it. So now when you take out the rotovape, you are also taking out more of the heads. And not only do you have more of the heads out, you now have a much better heart with real rich apple flavors. So you'll have both the cooked apple flavor as well as the fresh apple flavor.
I like your neighbors.
Wow. That's, yeah.
Yeah, well, we get the train coming by about twice an hour.
Oh, that's frequent.
I'll tell you what, though, that apple distillate that you make, I didn't know so much went into it. So the apple steeps in the apple brandy, and then that is rotary evaporation.
Exactly.
Distilled. That's incredible. I had no idea. What an incredible product and an incredible process. What brought you to the point where you wanted to get a rotovape and you decided that this is a good way to go for you?
So the rotovape is entirely my wife's idea. We went to the distilling conference in March, and I had fallen in love with distilling, and I had gotten the distilling bug, and I really wanted to be a distiller, and we worked on all of that, and then we went to the conference, and she said, well, what classes or what breakout conferences should I go to? And one of the ones she chose was rotovape, and she fell in love with the rotovape, and we came out of that conference, and it was her number one priority was to get us a rotovape. And although I didn't know anything about it, I didn't really object to it, and I thought that was a great idea, so we got it. And since we got it, I would have to say that it is one of the best investments we've made.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in the grand scheme of things, yes, it is a very expensive piece of equipment, but at the same time, it's not exactly killing the bank if you've got a little bit of startup money, because I think rotovapes, you can pick up a smaller model for like $2,500.
It's about that, yeah.
Yeah. Yours is probably not a small one, but
so ours is a 5 liter. Most of them are 1 liter that you can buy. But it's been a great addition to our distilling profile.
Well, 1 liter is good if you're making chemistry and sciencey stuff. 5 liters is good if you're trying to make something to drink.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other thing is that we're growing, and we really want to. We think we've run out of our capacity on our still, and we've run out of capacity on our rotovape. But we don't have anyone buying our stuff yet because we're brand new. So we're hoping to outgrow our stuff right now.
And boy, we are hoping to buy your stuff real soon.
Oh, yeah.
It constantly impresses me how much you're able to do in a 450 square foot space. This is insane. And what's even more insane to me is that you had originally thought that you were going to run a tasting room out of this area.
Yeah, our original plan was to break this up into half and put the tasting room in here. And TTB told us that we needed to have a bunch of other things, and it was going to cost us a huge fortune to turn this one space into a tasting room as well. So we went and talked to the owner of the property and have secured another spot. So we have another spot that's going to be our tasting room, and then we have this spot for us, which is also part of the reason why we're having trouble with the time frame for the tasting room, because we had originally planned on opening July 1st, but now we're looking hopefully this week.
Sure.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, you're going to need all the space you can get because your product is so unique and it's so delicious. I really honestly think that you're going to have crowds of people in here once the word gets out.
Thank you. I hope we do.
Yeah.
No doubt at all. And Divine Distillers, I love the name and I love your logo, and it's got such a great backstory to it. Can you share that with our listeners?
Absolutely. So I'm going to start a little bit way back. My wife and I have traveled all over the world. We've lived in many different countries. And one of the things that we share is a love of literature. And one of the things that we both agree on is one of the best, well, I guess most people in the world agree, is one of the best pieces of original literature is Dante Alighieri's 1300 book, 1308, I guess, the Divine Comedy. And we both loved the whole story and the whole history of it. And then when we had our son 15 years ago, we named him Dante, partly
Perfect.
because of that and partly because it's an easy name to say in multiple different languages that we
Yes,
all
it
speak.
is. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
so that's our history with the Divine Comedy. We started off loving it. We started off with our sons being named that. And when we were looking for a name for our distillery, we were looking for something that we would have a good story to tell. And we came up with basically the Divine Comedy. So we were thinking of how we could use that, and we were looking for Divine Distillers, and we want to do a whole story where, the story behind the Divine Comedy is Dante travels throughout the spirit world and learns how to live in, how things are in the inferno and purgatory and heaven. Mm-hmm. And part of our story is that we want to be your guide through the spirit world. Obviously different spirits, but we're
That's
still
fantastic.
talking about, being your guide through the inferno, which are the original spirits that come straight out of the still, which are the clear white spirits, and then purgatory, which will be the ones that have been modified in some way and are slightly less raw spirits.
I'd like to call it enhanced.
Enhanced.
There you go.
So we're the infused spirits. So we're talking about our rooibos rum, which you guys have tried, and
That's so
our
good.
coffee rum, and
yeah.
the Amaros that we have here, that we're going to taste in a little bit. All of those spirits are basically a clear spirit that has been infused in some way, and therefore those fit into the purgatory realm. And then our matured spirits, the things that have settled down, things that have, full flavor, oaked flavor, have been sat in oak for a while, things that have really matured quite a bit, those will be in the Paradiso level of alcohol.
So just to recap, your Inferno level is all of your eau de vies.
Yes.
And the Purgatory level is your eau de vies that have been enhanced in some way.
Correct.
Some things added to it to make it more than what it originally was.
Mostly infused. I don't want to add, because we're not adding sugar. We're not adding flavors. We're not taking anything that the alcohol doesn't pull out of the thing. So we're infusing with tea, with the rooibos. We're using drip coffee to enhance the rum. We have a eau de vie. We have a tequila rose, which is really an agave rose. So all these things that are just an infusion of the alcohol.
And you're really trying to bring out the natural flavors of the original spirit, because everything you get, or at least everything that you try to get, is as locally sourced as possible. Am I right?
That's correct. So all our fruit brandies are coming from the Willamette Valley. So we're getting all our raw products from local farms, local people. And we get our molasses from Glory Bee down in Eugene. And the only product that we don't source locally in Oregon is the agave. And that's
Right.
because it comes from Mexico.
Sure. You can't really get agave around here.
I think California has a couple of agave farms, but that's about it.
Yeah.
That's about all we have.
I was about to say, probably not even Bend has the right climate, because they're probably too cold for too
It's
long.
too cold. It's
Yeah.
too cold. And when there's not just that problem, there's also the processing of the agave plant that costs a fortune to do, and most people cannot take care of that.
And that lends to why the better tequilas or the better agave spirits or mezcals or whatever, they typically are quite a bit more expensive than people might expect out of a spirit.
That's
because
correct.
it's so much more difficult to process.
Exactly.
Sure, that makes sense. We tried your tequila.
We're not in
tequila.
tequila.
Agave spirit, and it was so good. JoJo got to do that for the Thirsty Thursday, and I was just so jealous watching her get to sip on this thing. I just could not wait for my turn to try it. I was just sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, I need to try some of this."
Good.
It was
good.
crazy good. I don't do tequila, and this is not a tequila, so we're on the up and up there.
Yep.
I do not do tequila. And let me tell you, this stuff was mind-blowingly good. I absolutely loved it. Agave.
Yes.
It's agave.
It's agave. In
Agave.
Spanish, it would be agave.
Well, I feel like we could just sit here the entire time and go,
Agave. Yes, we could.
Good.
Fortunately, we have better things to move on to. Your
Right.
lovely wife, Janelle, is here.
Yes, she is.
Janelle, say hi.
Hello.
And Janelle has been working on some really, really incredible bitters. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I've been experimenting with our rotary evaporator, our Rotovape, and it makes some really good concentrated flavors in the alcohol, and the leftover part are the bitters.
Right.
So as I was saying earlier, she's the inspiration for us having a Rotovape in the very first place, and she's the one who has the dream to make all these different flavors, and she's also the one who's put together all the Amaros that we're going to taste today.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for that.
Yeah, I'm excited.
But before we move away from the bitters,
Yes.
so I'm sure you've been doing some experimenting with that. What has been a couple of your favorite combinations so far for bitters?
Well, we really haven't moved into combinations. I've just been experimenting with the single flavors so far.
Okay.
So
single flavors.
So
I'm
I've been
scooting my
doing
chair. I'm excited.
mint, and we have also lavender bitters, which is pretty cool tasting. And then we've been trying strawberry and apples, and I want to do some basil as well.
Ooh.
And then we'll start doing some combinations.
Oh yeah. I'm thinking strawberry, lavender, basil. That's going to be
Oh
a
my
really good
gosh.
combination for me right off the top. That's
Maybe
gonna
with
be
a little bit of
combo.
lemon in there.
Yes.
Yes, now you're talking.
Yes.
And one of the things that we
Yes.
want to do is create custom bitters for bartenders. So if you're in Salem and you're listening to this and you're a bartender and you want a custom bitter, we could do that for you.
Yeah. Several are coming to mind, actually, now that you say
Absolutely.
that. So,
Several more coming to my mind.
yeah.
Before we get too ahead of ourselves, for the listeners at home, so the bitters are what's left over at the tail end.
That's correct.
Yeah, the concentration after you've removed all the alcohol and really the aromatic flavors. So they're the leftover parts of that. So if you were to do, for example, a habanero in the rotary evaporator, you get all the pepper flavor would come out in the first batch in the alcohol, and then all the heat would actually be left in the bitters, and you'd have a really super concentrated, hot, bitter.
So I've
leftover.
heard distillers refer to the tails of the tails. When they say that, are they referring to the bitters?
It could be, but usually you wouldn't evaporate. You wouldn't distill all of those herbs in your still. So it's a little bit different. You probably wouldn't put all of those herbs in your still when you were actually doing the distillation, but the rotary evaporator allows you to do that.
Oh, I see. So it's a little bit more
Okay.
specific to the rotary evaporator.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the stuff that's left over in a still after you've done all the distillation, the stuff left at the bottom is really nasty. It doesn't taste good. It's been burnt. You've got a lot of burnt flavors. But with a rotary evaporator, like we were saying earlier, you're not really burning it because you're doing it at a really low temperature,
Right.
which is why we can take those essences, those bitters, and it will still taste like mint, or it will still taste like a habanero, or it will still taste like a lavender, but yet without any of the sweetness left. So when we do mint, the mint bitters really have a strong mint flavor, but none of the sweetness or none of the essence that we've already ripped out. So it's a very different taste.
Right.
It's like tasting bitter mint.
So when you do like your mint distillate, what is the base alcohol that's in that? What is the fermentation base for that?
So far what we've been using is a sugar wash. So we've taken sugar, water, rapid fermented, and then distilled that. And we have a sugar wash that has a very sweet flavor to it, but has no sugar left in it. And we take that and we've added the mint to it. For all our fruits, when we're doing rotovapes for the fruits, we're taking the brandy that we use to make the fruit. So, for example, apple, we would take an apple, we would turn it into mush, then we would turn it into wine, then we would distill that into apple brandy, and then we would take that apple brandy and put the same apples that were used to make it back into it so that it would grab the flavor of the fresh apple, and then we would roto-evaporate them, for example, with apples. But we did that with strawberry, and we do that with pear, peach, plums, whatever we're doing.
Okay.
Got it.
So what you basically do is you make an infusion first. So you infuse it, but instead of leaving it to infuse, which is one way you can get a really strong mint alcohol, you get some off notes as the mint starts to degrade.
Yeah.
Instead of that, you can just leave it for 6 hours, 12 hours, just get the fresh notes and then do the rotary evaporator, and you get this really strong mint flavor without any of those off tones.
Fantastic.
I like that. That's really interesting. You guys are doing such a great, every distiller we talk to, there's a pairing of the art and the science of the distilling process. But you guys really, you've got some very scientific notes going on with what you're making. It's really impressive that
All
you
the
just
science is her.
Yeah.
She's the smart one here.
Oh.
Janelle, what's your background?
I'm actually an entomologist by training. I studied insects, ants in particular.
Whoa.
I had a lot of organic chemistry through my doctoral degree program. So it's fun because I've been in education for 25 years now, and I get to bring back some of my chemistry with this project.
That's so
How cool.
awesome. My wife she doesn't have a wrinkle, but she claims that she has a wrinkle that was caused by OChem. But she doesn't.
If I had ever taken organic chemistry, we wouldn't be talking because I'd be dead.
Right. Yeah. Just keeled over right there in the chair in
That's
class in front of everybody.
You guys are handling the practical application, which is the good news.
Yes.
You're here now, and with the science background, you're able to apply that to something that matters, which is booze.
That's right.
Absolutely. and it's the only thing that matters really in our world.
Yeah.
Well, it really is. When you stop and think about it, who would you rather have on your apocalypse team? Me, yeah, I can fix stuff, but this guy, he can make booze.
That's true.
Well, the cool thing about making booze is it can also work to help clean things.
This is true. This is a good point. This is a good point. Do you use your tails for cleaning?
So far, what we've mostly done is we're using our heads for the cleaning.
Oh, the heads for the cleaning.
We use the heads for the cleaning, and then we take almost all the tails and put them back into our product. So when we make an apple distillate, the tails, we conserve those, and then the next time we make apple, we throw them into the apple to keep all those flavors, because the way I've learned how to make apple or other fruit brandies is that there's tons of really good flavors in the tails. They come with a bunch of other non-good flavors that we don't want. But if we take those tails and put them back into the next batch, we will get some of those flavors coming out. And therefore, I would like to keep my tails and use them over and over and over again so that we keep those really good flavors in our brandies.
This isn't the first time we've heard this. Do you remember, JoJo, when we talked to Vivacity Spirits?
Yep.
They have an active dunder pit that they keep for their rum, where all the tails and not just the tails, but the solids and left over in the bottom of the still all go in there, and it all just, creates its own very unique flavor profile.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it makes it kind of feel like you're reusing your stuff. And I always thought that it was wasteful to throw away those tails, to throw away those really fantastic lower flavors that would come out in the next batch.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're a conservationist, my friend.
There you go.
Well, so we've got a few things on the table in front of us.
We do.
And they're things that you have not even given us an inkling of
No,
what
I haven't.
these are.
I
No, you
haven't.
have not.
So when we've spoken in the past, you guys have tried my rums and you've tried my agaves now, and you've definitely tried many of my brandies.
Yes.
And let it be known, by the way, that those were incredible. Some of the
yeah.
best I'd ever had.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, especially the strawberry, which is, to my taste, the most amazing distillate I've ever had.
Gosh, I dream about it.
I've never had
do.
anything like that. And what you let us try today, where it was the strawberry distillate and then the strawberry rotovape.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yep. Well, so we took the strawberries that you guys had tasted in the past, which had made, to my appreciation, the best distillate I've ever made. And then we took some of that distillate and added the original strawberries that made it, and then so that got infused, and then we rotovaped that. And I took some of that rotovape and put it back in to make what, in my mind, is possibly the best drink I've ever had.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I would agree with that.
100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree. Because I'm such a sugary sweets person, I really hate to say this. I wish I could use some more sophisticated words, but man, you made me a strawberry starburst. There's no other way to say it. That was a strawberry starburst in a glass, but in a good way. I don't know if I can quite emphasize that correctly, but it blew me away. It was definitely a dessert in a glass.
And that's what we're aiming for, really.
I'm going to pour that over some vanilla ice cream. I'm telling you, man. That was just insane.
That would be a
intense.
very expensive vanilla ice cream.
It would be, yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there. The things like that are just on the really high end of the price spectrum.
Well, you know what? You only live once.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hashtag JOLO.
Hashtag JOLO.
All right. So what are these called, my friend?
So what we have in front of us, we have 3 agave drinks here, and they're different infusions. And then we have 5 Amaros.
So an Amaro, for the listeners, because obviously I know what it is.
Yeah,
And
you know, because
obviously-
I've told you about 5 times.
right. Yeah.
All right, fine. So for the listeners, one more time, an Amaro is...
So an Amaro is the Italian word for bitter. So what we've done is we've taken our alcoholic drinks, our distillates, and we have put in bitter herbs to make an infusion. So these will all fit inside our Purgatorio class, but they will be infusions of different herbs. And I have my lovely wife here who can talk about the different things that are in them if she wants to. But we've got these Amaros for you to try. We've got 5 different test runs. So these are only test runs. We don't have them yet in bottles. But I figured you guys are good enough people to try them off and let us know what you really think. And I want to hear
barbecue exclusive.
And I kind of also want to get your on-air reactions to
Okay.
them. So
Yeah.
we just have them numbered. My wife has a name for one of them, but I don't know which one it is.
Oh, yeah. Number 1 is Winter in Oregon,
Winter in Oregon.
which is over here. And typically the Amaros, every region has their own local flavors and they use their own local herbs and other ingredients. And all of these come from gardens in Oregon. So actually in our garden are the ingredients.
Almost all of these come from our garden, or we bought them, but we bought the herbs locally.
Okay.
These are sweetened, so these would be a liqueur.
This is
Oh,
a
this is
liqueur.
a liqueur.
Yeah, so they
Okay.
have sugar in them, kind of balance some of that bitter flavor.
So you're now tasting or smelling Winter in Oregon.
They all have I think the one with the fewest ingredients is 11 or 12 different herbs, and some of them have up to 27.
Fascinating. How many are in this one?
I have no idea. I don't have the recipes with me.
We do have the recipes written down,
we
so we
can cut
can
that part out.
reproduce
It's
them. But
The recipes are at home.
Oh, man.
I smell cinnamon.
There's an herb in there that I can't quite put my finger on. It's going to
Is
drive
there
me nuts.
licorice?
no,
No? Dang it.
no, there's no anise in any of them.
No anise, no fennel.
Nope.
No, don't have it growing in my yard.
Ooh, that's super good, though. Is that an apple base?
So no, none of these are apple based. They're all just sugar wash based at the moment.
Just a sugar wash base.
But we will be making them out of our grappa, so out of the grapes.
Oh. Okay.
It's amazing to me how much flavor is there.
So typically an Amaro is made out of a grape-based brandy. We just don't have, since we've been distilling, nobody's produced any wine that we could turn around and use the pumice from. So we haven't made our grappa yet.
Okay.
That's more of a September, October, November
Oh,
time
sure.
frame.
Right.
So for now, we're just testing the flavor combinations with our sugar wash.
I love that. And you are right to call that a winter in Oregon.
Oh my gosh, that's good.
That's so good.
So we've got 5 of these to try. So let's I'm going to say let's push through them.
Okay.
And see how fast
Keep
you
it
guys
going.
can keep drinking.
Yes, please.
So mostly what we want is real feedback about these because they're brand new and we're just creating them. We don't know which of these we're going to have selling in our tasting room. And we haven't named any of them yet, and they're basically just trials.
Your number 2, that has definitely got a ginger spice to it. That seems like it has either a lot of ginger in it or you've done a fantastic job of making a ginger extract.
We haven't made a ginger extract yet. That's all ginger.
That is really, really good. And it's not just the ginger. There's this earthy note to it. There's an undertone that really brings a complexity that's way beyond just ginger.
These are really good in mixes and in cocktails.
Yes.
Because actually, as you dilute them, you get more of the flavors come out. These are a little strong. The winter in Oregon is really good in hot cocoa.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
I bet. Can I just say, by the way, in between these tastings, I cannot wait for you guys to make something that is a smoked ancho chili, cinnamon, clove. You're pointing at a jar.
Looks like they're
We
ahead of
already
you on
did.
that one.
You are the man. I can't wait
No,
to
we
add.
don't have an ancho yet, but we will.
We do have a smoked.
I cannot wait to add that to some hot cocoa.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yep. So this is number 3 that you're trying now.
Oh, this one's wild. This one is wild. You've got some basil going on in that.
And we've had several people say that this is their favorite. Most people
What is
say
that?
some.
I know that.
2, 3, and 4 seem to be the favorites of everybody.
I know that scent.
You know what that reminds me of, that number 3? That reminds me of the Herbe de Provenance.
Probably has some lavender in it then.
Yeah.
And when we do have the list of
that's
everything
good.
that's in these, it's a very long list, and we didn't bring it with us.
Yeah, you're trying to get our initial reactions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll come to me. It'll hit me like a ton of bricks.
JoJo's working on that. I'm going to get a little sip of water here because that's a big one. But I do love that. That number 3, that's fantastic. The herbaceousness, there has to be oregano, basil.
Oregano.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what it is.
So a lot of these are similar in concept to things like Campari or Jägermeister.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So that those are the ones that everybody knows
Yeah.
as Amaros. In Italy, they have hundreds of different Amaros.
Wow.
I don't think anybody knows Jaeger is an Amaro. They know it as a hangover.
They do, but it is technically an Amaro, and basically, throughout Italy, everyone has their own little region of their Amaros. And when I was just there in May, I got to taste just this vast range of different Amaros, and it got us more into the idea of Amaros. When we went there last year, we were sitting there having dinner in this little Italian restaurant in Milan, and we ordered an after dinner drink, and it was called Vecchio del Capo, and it was just absolutely amazing. And we didn't know we were going to turn into distillers at the time.
Oh,
but when we took a picture of it and we looked it up and we tried to get a copy, get a bottle of it, and didn't find a bottle of it because it was just difficult to find. And now, since we're distilling, it is something that we definitely want to do.
So my wife just tasted number 3.
She's having
And
a
the
moment.
faces she's making. Let me tell you something. This number 4, I am dying to know what's in this. That is so good.
It has a lot of roses from my garden in it.
Oh.
So you have a lot of dead air there because we were just watching Andy's wife's face as she drank one of these. Yeah, so there's a lot of rose in
Actually,
there.
rose petals.
Oh,
And
rose
I-
petals.
This one's really floral, so it's got a lot of flowers in it. I've got some lavender, some chamomile flowers, and roses. But all of these have over 12 ingredients.
Wow.
And then you leave them to infuse. It's kind of interesting as you taste them over time, the different herbs come out at different times. So you taste them every day, you shake them, and it changes every day over the course of the time
every
that
single
they
day
infuse.
they taste different. So if you were to say, I'm going to infuse this, and after the first day, there were a lot of them that we were like, oh my God, this is disgusting. And we left them for another few days, and then all these other flavors would come out from the other. So the different roots, the different beans, the different flours that we use all infuse at different speeds. And, at the end of the time, we said, okay, well, now we've got a flavor that we really want, and we've got all the stuff that we want.
But the flavor will continue to change as you add the water and the sugar in. So you actually have to leave it set at least 2 weeks with the water and sugar, because it'll keep changing during that time as well.
Fascinating.
Right.
So,
man.
On a couple of them, I actually made her take out the cinnamon because it was overpowering. It was just a little too much. But I don't like cinnamon, so.
Oh, I like cinnamon.
Well, I like cinnamon too, but it definitely can get overpowering. There's no question about it. Oh, I'm sorry, number 5.
So number 5 is very bitter on the back end. So it's okay to say that it sucks.
It's a little bit spicy.
Yeah?
Am I wrong?
No, well, it's
I
up to
taste
you.
what I taste.
You taste what you taste,
that's
and
true.
we didn't add any like habaneros or hot peppers or anything to any of these. We did to the tequila, and then that is actually tequila.
That is actually tequila.
It was made with somebody else's tequila.
Oh, okay.
For the flavor.
No, that was your first test batch of tequila.
Oh,
that we didn't get very much yield from.
Okay, so that's right. So you're right. That is agave spirit.
Oh,
and it is
nice.
agave spirit, and it is my first batch that we. My very first batch of agave. I spent several $100s on agave, and I got about a liter worth of alcohol out of it. So it didn't work out very well.
That's wild, man.
We did manage to taste some of these and turn them into testers. So those are the 3 that we have left. So all these are agave.
And by the way, Janelle, my wife is saying spruce tip. Yeah, she got it? Wow.
Nailed it.
I'm telling you, man, that palate is just, it's a winemaker's dream, this lady.
So what we have left, now that you've tried all 3 Amaros, we've got 3 agave spirits here.
Well, hang on a second. Before we move on to the agave spirits, what are we thinking? My personal favorite, the rose petal one, was that number 3? 4. That was my favorite. The number 1, which was the winter in Oregon, that's a very close 2.
Yes.
But the flavor of that number 4 was just absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Whatever you did with that one,
do it again.
Keep doing that.
Okay. Yes.
Do it early, do it often, please and thank you.
One of the things that we like about Oregon and why we like the idea of Amaros in Oregon is we like our things bitter.
Yes.
We like our coffee bitter. We like our beers very hoppy and bitter. And we think that we will like our bitter alcohol.
Well, am I just an idiot? Because none of these seem terribly bitter to me.
No. Yeah.
I think it's the Oregonian palate.
I think so.
It might be.
It might be, yeah.
Might have added too much sugar too.
Well, that could be. Even the last one there that you guys were saying was a lot more bitter. It was a little more bitter than the other ones.
Didn't bother me too much though. Honestly, that spruce tip one, I can think of a couple of beers that you could put that in that would make it absolutely phenomenal. I'm just being real honest with you. A couple of brown ales that I can think of right off the top of my head. Adding a little bit of that number 5 would really wake that beer up. I have no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
All right, now we can move on to your agaves.
Yes. So these 3 are infusions with our agave. So these will also fit inside our Purgatorio line.
Jason, this smells so good, man.
It's been a while since I've tried this one, so I'm actually
going to
try
pass it over to you then.
Okay.
I think that's the one with the really charred oak.
That's exactly the one it is.
It's got so much vanilla. It's got molasses going on. There's some heavy, dark caramel notes in that one. That is absolutely fantastic. And buddy, that one is hot, by the way.
It is hot. That's sitting at about 70% alcohol.
I had a feeling that's got some spice to it, but man, the flavors are just a punch in the mouth. I've had some small batch, super expensive caramels that remind me a lot of that.
Well, so that was only oaked for about 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chips or stave?
That was a stave.
That was a stave. That's incredible. It's the higher alcohol content that's pulling the flavors out more quickly.
That and the fact that it's just an amazing tequila.
This is also true.
Yeah,
this is also
agave spirit. Sorry.
That too. Yeah, I'm still getting a smoky flavor just sticking around in my mouth. I don't want it to go away.
Yeah, and we're going to take the agave spirit that you tasted earlier, and we're going to do that with this stuff. So that remember, this stuff is not as good as the new stuff that we have.
Okay.
Do me a favor, pass that to JoJo first. I'm going to get a little water here. I don't want to wash away the flavor, but I have no doubt that whatever we're tasting next is going to be amazing.
This smells like apple pie.
It's a
Should it
cinnamon
like
and
apple pie?
cinnamon pepper tequila.
Cinnamon pepper.
Agave.
So
Cinnamon?
cinnamon and cayenne. Was it cayenne pepper agave?
And that charred oak stave that you're using, where are you sourcing that?
So I got that from Todd at Rewind Barrels here in Salem, Oregon.
Yeah, I've met Todd. He's a super nice guy.
He's a wonderful guy, and
Yeah.
he gave me a bunch of staves, one of them being this charred oak stave
Fantastic.
that I used here. I haven't used most of his stuff yet because I've been waiting for TTB approval and everything before we end up using a lot of the stuff, but we're going to be using a lot of his staves in our alcohol.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And,
I think that is an excellent idea.
Yep. So we have that. And then I have a friend of mine, Gary, who's helping me by doing a lot of the work on the whiskeys that we're making. So he's helping me put that together. He's setting up a meadery in Independence or Monmouth in Monmouth. So he's in the middle of doing that, but he loves doing the cooking for the whiskeys. So he's doing a lot of the cooking of the wort, and then he brings me the unfermented wort, and we'll ferment it here and get the couple of whiskeys. We'll have a rye whiskey and a couple of other whiskeys that we're going to be making, but that's down the road.
Because you're not exactly a whiskey person, right?
I'm not. I actually really don't generally like whiskey, and it's really difficult for me to get the good flavors for them because I don't have a passion for them, which is why I do really well with the brandies, because I have a true passion for them.
Sure.
And I'm more than happy to be able to tell you where to make the good cuts for the whiskey, but I can't tell you that it is a good whiskey or a good bourbon or whatever that comes out of, but I can definitely make a good cut, and then we'll go from there. So
I would be more than happy to come and taste as much of your whiskey
me
as
too.
you need
If you
me to.
need a guinea pig.
well, Joe, you live in Salem,
I
so
live right here in
that's
Salem.
entirely possible.
Yeah.
Andy, sorry.
I'll make the drive. Yeah, she's got quite the nose for it, and absolutely call her up anytime if there's a tasting involved. Yeah, JoJo's all over that. And you've been holding on to that jar for a little too long. Are you hoarding
I
it
was
over
hoping nobody would notice, and I might be able to walk out here with it.
there? All right, pass it over.
It is really good.
So what you're having now, you want to talk about this?
Sure. This is the agave spirit with cinnamon and a cayenne pepper. And there's no sugar added, so 0 sugar in that. But it's got a really, I think, nice heat level.
It does, yeah. And it's not spicy. You get the cinnamon flavor right away. And then a little bit later, you get a little bit of heat on the back of your throat. And it's just delightful.
Listen, I know what agave nectar is. Like, I get it. But why is this so sweet and delicious if there's no sugar added?
We don't know. To be honest, a lot of our
Super unsatisfying answer.
I know it's incredibly unsatisfying because also like our sugar wash, it tastes incredibly sweet, but there is no sugar in it.
Crazy.
The only thing that we add sugar to it is our Amaros.
Oh, this Dismal Swamp has a little bit of sugar in
Okay.
it.
Oh,
Our Desperation Swamp agave spirit has a little bit of sugar. Was not aware.
What did you call it?
Desperation Swamp.
And she said something
She said
that was
dismal.
oh, dismal. I think desperation sounds
So
a little more romantic than
it's the only one that we
dismal.
have a real name for, because we're trying to source most of our names from within the Divine Comedy. But Desperation Swamp is what we're calling this one, despite the wish for a dismal. So anyway, you can go ahead and try the Desperation Swamp, which is it's a green tequila, and that's because of what we've put in it.
But it's more like citrus.
Remind me how many pages there are in the Divine Comedy.
I have no idea. Your wife has the book with her, but
That's a thick book. See, I was about to say you are a true hero and legend for only sourcing your names out of the book. But that's a pretty thick book, so I think you got plenty of names to
We
choose
do
from.
have a lot to work from. I mean, there's a lot to the book. 383 pages. Your wife's holding the copy that has illustrations by Gustave Doré, but we also have in our tasting room a 1903 version of the Divine Comedy that's a pocketbook edition. And once we have our tasting room, we'll have this in a little glass case for people to look at. It's all written in Italian, and it was made specifically for people to walk around with them in their pockets.
That is so cool. Look at that.
And it was gifted to me by an Italian when I was there in May.
Wow.
Amazing. That is incredible. Did they call you Bella Bella before?
No, I was telling them about the idea of behind our distillery, and this is in my broken Italian and his non-existent English, and we're having this conversation. And he's a artist and a painter and loves history and books, and he had actually pulled this book out of a fire.
Oh, wow.
Someone was throwing it away and putting it on a burn pile, and he'd saved it, and he didn't know why he'd saved it. And then when I'm telling him my story, he just walked back and grabbed it and brought it over to me and said, I think this has a far better place in your distillery than it does in my house.
Fated, my friend.
I think
Fated.
so.
Wow.
I love that. You know what else I love is this third agave. What is going on here?
It's got orange and lemon and lime and some herbs from our garden again.
Herbs? You guys, this has just been absolutely incredible. I'm super impressed with what you guys are doing here. Everything you make is phenomenal.
Well, thank you. I don't think everything we make is phenomenal, but I think we do make some good stuff.
At least the stuff that you're putting in front of us.
Actually, I think between the two of you, you guys have tried almost everything we've made. So
I feel a privilege and an honor
Yeah.
to be able to hear that. Thank you very much. I
if you
appreciate
come back
that.
a third time, we'll give you more stuff that you haven't tried, and then you will be done.
Wow.
Divine Distillers is divinedistillers.com. And then you also have your Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yes, so they're all at Divine Distillers, except for Twitter, which doesn't let me have the S.
Huh.
It's too
Interesting. Too long.
Yes.
Well, you know what, Twitter?
So Twitter is just Divine Distiller.
Divine Distiller. That's what you are, is the Divine Distiller.
Don't let it go to his head, please.
Well, hey, you guys, thank you so much. Janelle, thank you so much for sitting down and talking to us as well. We always like to hear the other side, you know.
The better half.
It was nice to meet you.
It was fantastic to have you. Jason, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you guys for coming, and thank you guys for coming back, too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for JoJo, Janelle, Jason, and Divine Distillers, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time. Well, that for me was a lot of fun listening back to one of our earliest episodes. That was like episode 24 of the Boost, Booze, and Barbecue podcast. And man, just seeing where we've come since then, and actually where the guys over at Divine Distillers have come. Jason is doing incredible things over there. They now have 46 different flavors in their lineup, 35 more on the way. They're having to move to an even larger facility. They've gone to a 450-gallon still. He's received 9 international awards and was recently named the Oregon Eau-de-Vie Distiller of the Year. So I cannot tell you guys how excited I am to have him back on the show. That is going to be coming up real soon. Definitely not going to be able to taste everything that he has this time around, but we're going to have a great time talking about his entire lineup, and it's going to be so much fun. So please do go out and find him on social media. And if you're in Oregon, he is not just one stop of many. He is the destination. So make your way over there and check him out. And of course, while you're out there checking things out, check us out over at pardonmyfork.com. The Facebook page is just at pardonmyfork. And we've got tons of cool stuff coming up. I've got a real nice lineup of folks coming on the show, and I know you guys are going to be very excited to hear all about it. So make sure you're staying tuned for that. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for telling a friend, and we will see you next time.